Alright, welcome back to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate it if you purchase your next watch from us at JazzTime.com. Today, we'll be doing a comparison between the Vacheron Constantin, the Overseas 5500V/110A-B481, basically the Overseas Chronograph in black, with the Rolex Daytona, also black dial, reference number 116500LN. Both of these chronographs, both of them around the very similar price range actually, and so that's why this comparison effectively makes sense. Now, the Vacheron Constantin, I think it's good to point out first, before I go any further, that it's good to also point out how the packaging works on these, because I'm a sucker for really good packaging. Now, Rolex, solid, but something about the Vacheron Constantin, I really like this gold leaf sort of placement of their name on their box, as well as the complexity at which, you know, they package their boxes here. Very much like Audemars Piguet, where you have the warranty underneath. All right, and also opening up the box, you have a little push button system that unhooks, and there you go, there's your watch, very nicely placed in this very soft satiny finished inner case, along with the Vacheron Constantin in a very matte black placement on the top there. Okay, so anyway, enough of this packaging. Let's look at the Rolex packaging here. Let's close this up, place this off to the side here as I casually throw this box around. Okay, now the Rolex, to me, feels rather standard. Okay, it's a slip sleeve over the top with the green box underneath, and here's where your warranty goes up top with the watch underneath. Also a very nice soft satin finish there. All right, and here's your watch around a very nice and easy to use little pillow. Okay, so we'll be going over both of these watches in this video. Okay, let me place these down nicely on their respective sides here. Now, taking a look at both of these watches, two different chronographs, two sort of very different time eras as well, because the Vacheron Constantin, let me move you a little bit closer here. The Vacheron Constantin is probably the oldest, if not one of the oldest watch manufacturers in the world that is still around today. Their watches are very excellent in build and very heritage lane, because they have a huge history, much more than that of Rolex. Now, taking a look at the Vacheron Constantin here, we have a stainless steel case, 42.5 millimeters in diameter from finger to thumb, 13.7 millimeters thick as well. All right, so this one, as you can see, quite easily much larger than that of the Daytona. And also, all of the registers here on this dial are actually within the dial, within the range of the dial. Anything that is not time related is on the outside of the dial, so including the bezel, a stainless steel high polish on the front, a second bezel with a satin brush finishing in concentric circles beneath this front one, as well as a satin brush finishing on the front of this case, going down the lugs, all vertically placed with high polish along the flanks here. Very tasteful overall presentation there. All right, all with integrated links that work very nicely with the watch. V-shaped links, all satin brush finish, right? And the chrono pushers all on the right side, as you would expect. Now, before we go any further, let's compare it to the Rolex Daytona, 40 millimeters in diameter from finger to thumb, much smaller, about 11 to 12 millimeters in thickness. I can't remember the exact thickness, but much thinner than that of the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. The chronograph function is actually all on this outer bezel, which then allows the rest of the dial to really breathe much better. You get the index hour marks, as you would expect on this Daytona black dial as well. Subregisters, a sort of silver overtone there with black insides, all right, black interiors to those sub registers, All right, so everything is sort of together within the black regions, including the bezel here. A ceramic bezel, very, very difficult to scratch, very, very difficult to break. But if you were to break it, it will shatter, so be very careful with that. All right, that being said, satin or sapphire crystal on the front, very difficult to scratch, very difficult to break as well. All right, high polish on all of the sides of this case. The links also integrated into the case as well, satin brush finishing on the outer pieces of those links with a high polish going down the center, as you would expect any Rolex. Okay, and also chronograph pushers on the right side with crown guards for that crown right in the middle. So very good, although I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary, because if you were to take any sort of damage, these chrono pushers would feel the brunt of it first. All right. Now, taking a look at the Vacheron Constantin Overseas, a little bit more at this dial here. We have a small seconds at the 9 o'clock with the 30-minute and 12-hour chrono dials at the 3 and 6 respectively. These dials are sort of sunken in within a sort of like matte white finish behind this matte black finish. No sunray patterning, except if you were to sort of consider the outermost periphery of this dial, where the chrono hand is very lightly caressing the numbers, the Arabic numerals as well, corresponding to the seconds and therefore chronograph hands. We have a sunken as well date aperture at the 4:30 position. All right, so quite useful, as this one does contain a date aperture. So it's a very good, and I would say very standard little complication there for just about any watch. Very, very, very useful in those niche situations. You just happen to forget which day it is. That's fine. Most of us do anyway. Okay, now when you compare it to the Daytona, our index markers are much smaller, and that gives us more space for these sub-registers. The small seconds being at the 6 o'clock, and the chrono dials are at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions, 30 minutes and 12 hours respectively. All right, and keep in mind, there's no date aperture here, so there's no need to set a date on this watch as long as you don't forget what day it is. Well, certainly not that big of an issue. Just if you happen to be a little bit more forgetful, you may want to go with the Vacheron, because this one has no date aperture. It's just time and time alone, and just for today, not tomorrow or the day after. Okay. Now, taking a look at the movements here, I'm not going to go over all the technical specs here, but the movements here basically give you 52 hours of power reserve for the Vacheron and 70 hours for the Daytona. So the Vacheron gives you significantly less time, and I'm not sure exactly why. Well, it's all due to the internal mechanics of the Vacheron, but the Daytona does certainly win out there when it comes to the movement, the efficiency of the movement. And Rolex have certainly had sort of a leg up on many other manufacturers by starting with their in-house movements much sooner. I believe even sooner than Vacheron Constantin have. I believe Vacheron Constantin have had their movements made by Jaeger-LeCoultre, who have basically manufactured for many other manufacturers, including the rest of the Holy Trinity, the Audemars Piguet, as well as the Patek Philippe models within their own respective brands. Whereas Rolex have started with their own in-house movements much sooner, so they've had that leg up, higher power reserve, so less need to wind the crown, but you do get a little bit of difficulty trying to get it out because of the crown guards there. But the knurling on this crown does make it a little bit easier to grasp and therefore easier to wind. All right, so I'm not going to go too much into detail here. It works as you would expect. Simply just, first position winds the watch. Pulling out the crown to the final position there actually does stop that small seconds hand. So if you want to keep this Daytona with, precise timekeeping, you can certainly do so. All right, press the crown back in, screw it tightly against the case, and you have 100 meters of water resistance on this one, whereas on the Overseas you have 150 meters of water resistance, but no hacking seconds function. So if you were to unscrew the crown, unwind the crown, you can wind it at the first position, pull it out to the second position, you can advance the date in the aperture by about a quarter turn, pull it out to the final position. Note that the chronograph as well as the small seconds just keep going. They just keep on trucking. There's no stopping them. And so, you know, setting the time could be a little bit more difficult for those less experienced, but you know, if you own this watch, you will certainly have that experience, no problem. All right, press the crown all the way back in, wind it tightly against the case, and again, 150 meters of water resistance, so certainly better than that of the Daytona, even though the Daytona does have that trip lock waterproofness system with, I believe you saw that little extra gasket in the screw there when I unwind the crown. And yeah, it certainly has that going for it. But this one, the Overseas, does have higher water resistance rating. Now when it comes to the bracelets here, again, we do have a little bit of extra pull on this clasp that allows you to get, you know, a very instant, you know, extension of your bracelet. And the good part about this feature is that you can do it on the fly. You can do this while the watch is actually on your wrist. But, you know, I would still recommend taking it off and then pulling them out or pushing them back in to regain, you know, that sort of strength and that stability with those links. This is a double deployment system, so simply press the two buttons in to deploy the clasp. It's symmetrically opened. All right, so that gives it a very good fit for anyone who's wearing this snug or for smaller wrists because there's less chance of pinching there. All right, now taking a look at this on the wrist, if I wear this correctly. All right, very good overall feel here, although it is quite massive on the wrist, okay? Compared to the Daytona, much smaller on the wrist. I'll be putting it on my wrist in just a moment, but you know, much larger, and with those flared out lugs with that, you know, extra spacing underneath them, I get plenty of, you know, the sort of breathing underneath the watch case there, as well as the lugs. Very good, comfortable satin finishing on the links. Makes it a very nice wear overall. It's quite a thick boy, so I'm getting plenty of wiggle and wobble on my wrist, but you know, if you don't really move around all that much, this is more like a dressy sort of industrial feeling watch, sort of a more stable, upright sort of luxury feel of a watch. Very industrial looking, especially with how the sort of Maltese cross echoes its appearance on this outer bezel. It gives it a very gear-like look. All right, so certainly many decades of history, if not centuries of history, within the Vacheron Constantin line here being shown. Whereas on the Rolex Daytona, it's a bit sportier. You know, you can't really deny that it has more of these sportier looks. It has more rounded edges, much what you would say friendlier, but not necessarily, you know, that's not to say that the Vacheron Constantin is not friendly, but you know, a bit rounded is generally more friendly, you know, to the eyes and overall the presentation. Now this clasp here is an oyster lock safety clasp, so you'll have to open the safety first and then latch the clasp off. It's a fold over clasp with the Rolex stamped logo on the inside, and in order to get those extra, you know, extension, you'll have to reach under the clasp, so you'll have to actually take the watch off 100%, reach in there, pull it out. Not that big of a deal, all right, when compared to the Constantin. Now, trying this on the wrist, it's a bit better, a bit easier to wear on the wrist, at least for me, with the 40mm case size, much smaller as well, smaller profile, but overall just a sportier look on the wrist, and certainly much smaller as well. So this one, the Daytona, is actually very much marketed to be a potentially unisex sort of watch. It's very friendly on the eyes, very friendly in presentation, and sportier overall. Much, you know, catering much more to a younger audience. You can take out as many links as you want, so this will actually fit literally anybody's wrist. Whereas on the Vacheron Constantin, you have that huge domed backside there that really makes it have to really balance on your wrist. The smaller your wrist, the more balancing act you'll have to, you know, enact on this watch. So if you'll want a slightly more comfortable feel, I would definitely go with the Daytona, but that sort of begs the question, why would you get the Vacheron Constantin overseas? All right, so you could argue that the quality among, you know, all of these is basically the same, if not extremely close. When it comes to the Vacheron Constantin, you know, how it feels, how it's finished, and how you feel about the Vacheron, that's all what matters. And you're purchasing brand image, and most importantly, the history when it comes to Vacheron Constantin. With Rolex, you're buying, you know, into the most prominent brand. And I don't have one here, but I do have we do sell Audemars Piguet watches. And if you happen to, you know, take a look at the Audemars Piguet, say, for example, the 26331 ST, their Rolex Chrono, you know, that you're buying into one of the more exclusive brands, if not the most exclusive. You know, and with Vacheron Constantin, you're buying into the oldest watch brand. You have the history and the quality therein to really back it up. Vacheron have also really, you know, been relatively exclusive with about 50,000 models made per year, a bit more than, you know, Audemars Piguet, and certainly far less than Rolex, who can easily, you know, crush it with, you know, 200,000, if not more, models per year. So, you know, who would buy one of these watches? You know, not everyone wants to wear a gold watch every day. It's really too flashy and too malleable. It's for someone who can really drop this kind of money on a steel watch that has a hardness of 6 out of 10 on the diamond scale. When you compare it to yellow gold, rose gold, those are like 2.5. Very, very soft, incredibly soft. When you have steel, you have that security, and it doesn't come across as too flashy. It's not like, you know, walking down the street and telling people to rob you or anything. So when you have, you know, these benefits, you know, actually translate into usability. Steel watches are designed to be worn every day, and, you know, it's actual casual elegance, the casual elegant art of really not really giving a damn. All right, so very important, two chronograph watches made by two of the largest manufacturers in the world, both Swiss, mechanical and automatic as well. Now, which one would I go for? Well, hard to say actually, because I do like the history and the overall, just the sturdy feel of this Vacheron Constantin. I love the bracelet that you can, you know, just very easily just pull on it, and there you go, easy link right there. Whereas on the, you know, the Daytona, the Rolex Daytona, you'll have to actually reach underneath that clasp to pull out that extra link as well. You know, it feels like it's easier to get a Daytona, but actually it's the other way around. It's much harder to get a Daytona these days because of the prominence of Rolex. Rolex is a household name, whereas Vacheron Constantin, not so much. Try ask some people you know, like people who don't, you know, discuss watches. Have they even heard of Vacheron Constantin? Most people will probably say no. Whereas if you ask anyone on the street, oh yeah, Rolex, sure, I know them. They make really good watches, of course. But when you say Vacheron Constantin, a little bit more exclusive, you get that exclusivity, the history, and the quality backing behind Vacheron Constantin. And, you know, it's still very nice, flashy, but not too flashy. If you were to get the all gold version, the rose gold version, that one will certainly stand out much more than this steel version, all high polished. And that integrated bracelet look just gives it a very, very nice appeal to it as well. However, the Rolex, you know, to me feels more standard, but then that's because I'm just dealing with Rolex watches every day. So for me, I feel a bit tired when I talk about Rolex, you know, because there's not really much new going on here, you know, except, you know, besides the occasional new release, which should be happening relatively soon. This is about, you know, the early 2021, you know, it's about that time when Rolex and other watch manufacturers would be releasing the new parts of their catalog, or at least announcing them. But anyway, the Rolex Daytona, I can't say no to this, but I can't really say no to the Vacheron Constantin either. But when it comes to the wearability, I'm going to have to say that the Daytona does sort of win out in that aspect, because my wrist is 7 inches in diameter, or 7 inches in circumference. Diameter would be a little scary. So it feels much more comfortable to wear this Daytona. It's significantly lighter and it just fits on the wrist better with the way that those lugs work, and you don't get too much extra, you know, in that lug to lug spacing. Whereas on the Vacheron Constantin, you're going to have to balance the entire thing on this back portion here with those lugs, you know, flaring outwards. So if you have a larger wrist, go with the Vacheron Constantin. It's so much more, you know, unique in that aspect. It's theoretically easier to get a Rolex because they do make more of these, but the Vacheron Constantin, a little bit more exclusive, a little bit easier to actually get because fewer people actually know about Vacheron Constantin. So I would say go for this one because this one certainly has that appeal to it. If you really like that sort of industrial feel, very upright, very luxurious as well, with that, you know, the thickness in that wrist presence really showing off as well. All right. If you're a bit more of a sportier person, probably more like along the lines of what I would do, you know, then go for the Rolex Daytona. Just be prepared to wait a little bit because it's not as easy to get your hands on one of these. So anyway, I'd like to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Which one would you choose? Because I'm having a hard time picking myself. So make the decision for me. So let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you haven't already and subscribe. And hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we go live with another video like this one. And as always, if you'd like to purchase either of these watches, you know what? If you have the option, you have the money, just buy both of them. You have the option. For more formal gatherings, you've got your Vacheron Constantin. Everyday wear watch, Rolex Daytona, both chronographs, as I'm choking on my own spit, both chronographs with exceptional timekeeping ability in either of them, really. So yeah, you can buy both at our website, jazztime.com. Links in the description below, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.